Welcome back to A Better Choice Homestead. My name is Kelly, and boy, do we have seeds to sow. I am using a Coast of Maine seed starting mix that I have added worm castings to. The worm castings seem to be helping the soil hold together pretty well, and it also adding some nutrition so that when these do sprout, they'll have some food. I'm taking my new mini soil block and I am pressing that down into this soil. I am just going to fit it here where there's room, release it. And I'm going to make one more block. Okay, good, that worked well. What I've done here is I've added 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this is the second tray. So this is D, E, and F. The first tray has A, B, C. And that way I can label on my sheet exactly where I'm planting these seeds. I am going to start with my medium hot peppers, medium hot. I actually use a Sharpie to label these photo boxes, and I can wipe this off with rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer, so I don't have to actually purchase labels for these. And I've got to talk this out loud so I can remember later. But I'm going to do each of these blocks as if it was a page in a book. So I'm going to go from left to right and then down a row, left to right. So this will be A1 and then 1, 2, 3, 4. A1, 5, 6, 7, 8. A1, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to put those in one. I'll put 2 per. This is going to be tedious. This is not the way I normally sow seeds. Normally, when I sow seeds, I use 2 foil pans. The top pan has some holes in it for drainage, and the bottom pan does not have holes in it and catches any water. I am able to mass sow in very thin rows, all different types of peppers and tomatoes and eggplants and so on. But this year I am trying not to oversow. I tend to end up with a whole lot more plants than I need and end up giving them away. So, and I also waste a lot of soil doing that. So this is my first year trying soil blocking, and I am really struggling to figure out how to keep track of all of these seeds. As you can see here, I am putting seeds in certain cell blocks, and then I am writing on a sheet of paper exactly where they're going. And I didn't do all the seeds I wanted to get done on this day because this actually took me a couple of hours to do. It was quite ridiculous. I think with anything, you learn as you go, and I'll get better at this over time, but this was a lot. This was very time intensive and tedious. So as you can see, I am doing most of the first cell block A1 with peppers, doing mostly 1 of each. I've got quite a bit of different peppers. Peppers are not my main priority this year. For the last couple of years, I have had bumper crops and I have a lot of peppers freeze-dried, dehydrated, and canned. So I'm just doing 1 or 2 or 3. I've got chili peppers, hot Hungarian wax peppers, big Jims, Everman Hots, Cayenne, King of the North, Etuda, Ruia, Serrano, cayenne long slim, Craig's grande jalapeno, Lisa, sweet banana, Anaheim, lunchbox yellow, what else? Orange bell peppers, Corbaci, Corno de Toro, Violet Sparkle, and Shishito. In addition to the peppers, I am excited to be growing some huckleberries this year. That is new to me. That will be in addition to the berries that I grow. I'm also doing collard greens in this sowing, as well as some broccoli rabe. Actually, no, just regular broccoli, Waltham 29. And then I'm also doing flowers. I am doing some petunias. And then the last two things I am planting in this is lettuce. I'm doing 2 different kinds of lettuce, and I'm doing a full block of each. So that's 20 of each. And that is the Merlot lettuce and the, well, I can't pronounce the other one actually. Pharyngiolus. I don't know. It's a beautiful green lettuce with some red spots on it. I grew that one last year. The Merlot I grow every year, and I really like those. So those will be planted in my green stock. I have a leaf green stock that I use just for the lettuces, and then I have 3 other regular green stalks. As I said, this process was incredibly tedious. I hope that I get better at this and I enjoy it more. I think that the concept is great. There's very little waste, very little soil being used until your seeds germinate and start to grow, which is really great. I split this up into 2 sessions. So in a minute here, you'll see this a few days later. You will see the unused cell blocks removed, and I will be starting some new ones. The last seed I'm putting in are my petunias. I like to grow those in hanging baskets, and I am going to fill the rest of this block up. They're very tiny seeds. I'm trying not to cross contaminate those with the other ones that I put in the first couple of blocks there. These do take a while to germinate, and they're very, very tiny seeds. And now I just need to cover all the seeds. So the pepper seeds need a little bit more coverage than the lettuce or the flower seeds do. Those seeds are bigger. You want to plant your seeds twice as deep as they are wide. So those will get more soil than the flowers will. Both the lettuce and the flowers are really just going to get a very sparse covering because those seeds are smaller. So again, you want to make sure that you don't have too much soil on top of them so that the little bit of energy that is stored in those seeds can push that sprout up through the soil where it can start to photosynthesize with the light and start generating its own energy. Until then, it could get kind of stopped underneath the soil if it's too heavy. So here we are finishing up on day 1, and about 6 days later, I go back in and take out the unused soil blocks and start new. I had started the cell blocks for the first time last week. I got a few done. So I've got some brassicas in here. I chose to use this pan because I felt like they were drying out too much in these larger pans, but I'm just watering more now. But these should be ready to be potted up or into the next larger cell block, probably sometime this week. So those are my brassicas. I'm not growing a ton of them this spring because I feel like I'll have better results in the fall. In here, I have some pretty good germination. I've created 2 new blocks that we're going to be planting in today. So today I'm going to be doing my tomatoes. I'm going to be doing some parsley and some sage. And then I'm going to be doing about 300, these are all cell blocks. I've already made them, about 375 thyme. So I am trying to grow thyme as a ground cover this year outside of my garden. I got rid of my grass. Sorry, dog got pretty loud. So as I was saying, I'm going to be planting a lot of thyme as a ground cover. I got rid of the grass in my backyard 3 or 4 years ago. I spent enough time out there having to clean the pool and garden. I don't want to waste time mowing something that's not providing me any value. So lots of thyme. And I'm super excited today to be starting the tomatoes. I am trying to get a hang of this so that it is not quite so tedious, especially on video, but I am brand new to cell blocks this year, or soil blocking. All right, so what I'm doing, what I've decided to do again is I've got my labels here, A, B, C, and then 1 through 4 on the sides of the tray. So I will, and this one's been planted in. This is my petunias, and they're just starting to sprout. They're very, very tiny. So I'm going to be working with these 2 sets. These are 20 cell blocks each. I have, I think, 25 tomatoes to plant, and then some parsley and some sage. So I've made the number of tags of the number of, to equal the number of plants that I'm going to do, and I've already marked them. So this is going to be my Black Beauty tomato. So what I am going to do here is plant a couple seeds, right? Just to make sure we get some germination into one of these blocks. So that's 3. And then I'm going to write on here that it is in B2 cell number 1. So B2 1. B21. Okay, now Dr. White Cheese, yellow. B, this is still the first row, so B, 1, 2. Nope, sorry. B, 2, and then cell 2. So B22. Kellogg's Breakfast. B23. Pineapple. All right, so this is still tedious and long for video. I did my Black Beauty. I did one of the Dr. White Cheese yellow. I did 1 Kellogg breakfast and 1 pineapple. Those are both large slicers. They're very, very similar in color, texture, flavor, but I do like both of them. I also did a pork chop. I've grown the pork chop for a few years now. It doesn't stand out to me. Labels don't tend to last in the garden, so I can't tell you right now how well I like it, but I have grown it for the last few years, so I'm still growing it. I did 1 Callisto Genovese. That is a very, very red heirloomy type tomato. I did 2 Cherokee purples. That one is new for me this year, as well as 1 bread and salt tomato, also a slicer. So those are all slicers, so larger tomatoes. I did 4 Abe Lincolns. Those are my absolute favorite tomatoes. They are huge. I think last year I got a 2-pounder. And then I did a sweet cherry tomato that I had seed saved from a volunteer in my garden last year. Don't even know what kind it is. It just volunteered growing amongst my blackberry bush. I did 1 Bosque blue bumblebee cherry tomato. I did Berry's Crazy cherry tomato, one of those. I did a Chadwick cherry. Then I did 2 of the San Marzanos paste tomato and 4 Amish pastes. So those will be for sauce, although I do use my slicers for saucing also, especially like the Abe Lincoln. That's a really good one to cook down into sauce. I also did 1 Comstock tomato. Actually, nope, I did 2 Comstock tomatoes. So that is 25 tomatoes. And 25 is really all I have room for. I do grow my tomatoes up on a trellis, but that is really all I have room for. I'd have to give up growing some peppers or some eggplants or some zucchini in order to grow more than that. So 25 is plenty. Then I went on and did the herbs. So again, I did sage. I did 2 green sages and 2 Fani sages. And in this day, I did 4 Italian parsleys. So must not be time for me to do my curly parsleys or other herbs yet. I am following my Seed Time app, and it is telling me exactly what to plant each week. And based on the layout in my garden, it is also telling me how many to plant of each kind. So I'm loving that Seed Time app. I'm just not loving this whole soil blocking thing yet. I know I will. I'm just still trying to get the hang of it. And if anybody has any suggestions on a better way to do this, an easier way to keep things organized and know what's planted where, because these are so small. I tried writing it on the paper last week. That was very tedious. So this week I'm trying, just starting with the labels and writing it on the labels. It is still taking me a while to get through all of these though. It is working though. You can see that I've got some pretty good germination on the blocks that I've already done. And as you will see later in this video, I did take the onions that I had started in my foil pans, and today I moved them into the medium size soil block. I think I'm hoping by doing it that way that they have a little bit more room to start to bulb before they typically would, by staying so close together in their seedling trays. And they have a little bit more food that way too. But I'm overall happy with the germination. I think that it's going to be a good year. I'm a little late each week getting these going, but I have had a lot going on, especially with my dog who is sick. I would love to hear from anybody who is currently soil blocking and just has some tips or tricks in ways of making this go just a little bit faster. I am seeing the value though in the soil usage. I have barely used any. I usually buy my soil at the end of each growing season, so I have it on hand at the beginning of the new growing season. And I have only gone through maybe 2 bags, and for seed starting bags, they're not very big. So we're definitely saving on soil. Now I'll use more of it as I up pot these or move them into the larger soil blocks. But yeah, I'm liking that part of it. And as you can see here, I am now just covering the seeds. Again, the tomatoes are going to get more coverage than the herbs. Just making sure that everything is well covered and a little bit tamped down so that it's coming into contact with the soil. And then I will get these watered in and onto the shelf with a heat mat as well as a light so that they have light as soon as they germinate. So again, I just put what it was that I planted, the row that it's in, the column that it's in, the row that it's in, and then the 1 through 20 spot on the cell block. Hopefully that's going to work, because I've been struggling with how to keep track of all these little tiny blocks. I think this is going to work. So I'm going to move on to the thyme. So this is also a Baker Creek heirloom seed. This is Magic Carpet Thyme. There's 75 seeds per pack. I got 10 packs. So I am just going to load this up. Oh, these are tiny. I don't even know if you can see those. Those are really tiny. So I'm going to open them all up, take out the little packets. I mean, look at how small those are. There's 75 seeds in there. That is tiny. So I am taking each of the 10 packets of seeds and just trying to separate them out relatively evenly. And then I'll open them up one by one, pour them into my hand, and then try to scoop them out in not one bunch, right? So I can separate them across the depth of the tray. These seeds are so incredibly tiny. It was hard to get them out of the bag. It was hard to pick them up with my fingers. You can see here, they are just tiny. So I am just going to sprinkle them, and we'll just hope for the best with germination. They weren't very expensive seeds. I think they were probably $3.50 a packet. So if they, if I can get even half of them to germinate, I'd be happy with that. I know that to cover the ground, the amount of ground space that I have, it's going to probably take me a few years to establish some ground cover out there. So I'll be happy with whatever I get this year. Last one. And there you have it, 380 soil blocks planted with thyme. We'll see how they do. I'm going to get these watered in and on the shelf, and I'll give you a look at where the onions are today. Okay, these are the thyme, and they're going to go on the bottom shelf on a heat mat and under lights. They're going under lights because, hi Sky, they're going under, hi Sky, okay. They're going under lights because as soon as they germinate, they're going to want light. So they're on there. Here we have our celery. Our celery is doing pretty well. Happy with that. We've got our bunching onions, and I'm going to leave them in here. They're going to be fine in here. I did take out the shallots, and I moved them. I'm keeping the brassicas here on a little booster seat to get them closer to the lights. They don't need necessarily the heat mat anymore, so this is a fine setup for them. Here are the peppers and some flowers that we did, and then of course what we just did with the tomatoes and the parsley and the sage. And this is also going to go on the bottom, so it has a heat mat and light to germinate. And here we have 200 onions that I potted up into the second size soil block. Really excited about that. So 200 onions this year, fingers crossed, get nice big bulbs out of them. Well, that's going to do it for our seed starting this week. Next week, we'll be doing some up potting as well as some more seed starts. Hope you come back and join me again soon. Thank you so much for watching. This is Kelly at A Better Choice Homestead.